Fingerprints. They've long been used to connect suspects with a crime scene. Fingerprint analysis uses a variety of techniques to find and preserve them and look for a match in the Automated Fingerprint Identification System, or AFIS.
Technology is moving at such a rapid pace that if we don't stay current, we get behind. And so my goal is to stay as current as we possibly can. As new science develops, we need to get people hired and trained to be able to process whatever that science is going to be. There's things coming that we don't even know yet. And I think it's important to have a director, a lab director that has that vision. And I think it's important to have the staffing and the dollars to do that.
Part of my job duties include processing evidence for latent prints, and these latent prints can be collected from crime scenes, either from myself when I respond to a crime scene, or from police officers or deputies who collect prints at the scene and submit them to be analyzed.
I examine latent prints, I compare latent prints collected from crime scene against known prints. And sometimes I process evidence at the lab for latent prints, collect DNA from the evidence, and sometimes I respond to a crime scene and process crime scene for physical evidence.
So we have crime scene vans that are equipped with things that we might need at the scene. It can include things to package the items in, things to measure the placement of items when we do our measurements and sketches at the scene.
It depends on the scene, it depends on the surface that we are looking latent prints on. It depends on the weather conditions. There are so many variables. Yeah. We just go on the scene and process and waiting to hope to find some evidence like latent prints.
The print that I have on screen, here you can see the ridges have been developed with black, which are the raised portions of the friction ridge skin, and then you also have these white voids, which are the furrows of your friction ridge skin in between the black ridges. And then also you see here are these horizontal creases in the finger, as well as some vertical creases. If I don't have a person to compare this to, either a victim or a suspect, then I can enter this print into the Automated Fingerprint Identification System. What AFIS then does is it creates a mathematical algorithm based on the spatial relationship of each of these points. And then it then takes that mathematical algorithm and it compares it to the known prints in the local database.
If somebody brings, let's say, a fingerprint to us and they say, find my suspect, you know, we analyze that fingerprint like we would any other fingerprint. If it's not a value, it's not a value. If it's identified to somebody that isn't a part of the investigation or is a victim or is another suspect, it's not my job to interpret how that information fits in with the rest of the case. It's the detective's job. So we really have a separation. Our role is separate. We are scientific investigators and we work as a part of the team, and our role is different than the detectives or patrol. So we do keep that definitely at the forefront.
When we arrive to the scene, we usually get a briefing from the detective in charge, so they'll tell us a little bit about the incident. We'll also do a walkthrough of the scene so we can kind of see what we're literally walking into and start listing things off in our minds, like what type of equipment we might need, what type of evidence we're searching for. And it's important for us as criminalists when we arrive on scene to keep an open mind, because sometimes when someone tells you a narrative, you might get too focused on what they're telling you. So you kind of have to remember that you're there as like a third party outsider, and you are just absorbing what you can from the scene and seeing what you can do.
Crime scene investigation, from human fingerprints to digital ones, and the age of body cams and DNA analysis. More evidence must be gathered, studied, and stored than ever before, while ensuring more detail can be provided to the justice system in order to prove guilt or innocence.